Academies, Artists' Residencies for Illustrators. I am not Ilaria Tontardini. Unfortunately, Ilaria was not able to be here, so I'm stepping in. I'm Maria Russo, and I'm so honored and happy to be with these amazing people, and I hope I can fill Ilaria's shoes okay. So we are going to have an incredible journey today through these three different models of an artist residency. We're actually going to start with little presentations from each of our panelists. And let me introduce our panelists first. We have Lynn Caponera, Executive Director of the Maurice Sendak Foundation in the USA. We have Sophie Blackall, wears many, many hats, illustrator, author, and also the founder of Milkwood. Very exciting residency for children's creators in the USA. And finally, we have Isabelle Arsenault, also many hats, an incredible illustrator as well, and also the most recent founder of a residency, Leporello in France. In Canada, of course. What, I'm sorry, I'm reading. I know it because it's actually outside of Toronto. Yes. So, right. So we're going to start with Lynn and the Maurice Sendak Foundation's whole program.
Hello. So the Sendak Foundation and Fellowship and the Foundation are really all in one, was started by Maurice in 2010 to have a residency program in his home. So people, he would choose 4 artists who would come and live with us for a month, and he would just interact, and they would, go through his archive. And then after Maurice passed away, that really wasn't practical to have people just come in and go through his archive. So for the first few, and I'm not sure I'm going to do this right. Let's see. Ah, there's Maurice and Herman, and oh, actually, he said I have to use that. Oh, I can look there. You've done this before, haven't you? So for the first few years, we held the residency program in various locations. In fact, 2 years we held it at at your place, Milkwood, which I got to say is pretty swanky and wonderful. And it's like an art installation. It isn't an art installation. You've done an unbelievably amazing job at that place. So I would like to trade with you, actually. So, but now we're building a house on Maurice's property for the fellows to come and stay at. We already have studios built for all of them. And, oh yeah, so there's the house, and that's the archive, the round building. And the house is quite old, well, not in Italian standards. It's 1792, but that's a baby for here. But the archive is an addition that was put on after Maurice passed. He didn't insure anything in his house, so we had to build something to be practical. And then it just became evident that when fellows would come to the house to have the residency program, they wanted access to his art. And that was sort of actually a replacement for Maurice not being there to talk to them. It's the winter. We have a lot of, we like to garden, so we have a lot of gardens around here. And then the inside of the house is also curated by Maurice. It's left as he left it. He was very adamant that he wanted his house to be available for artists to come and stay and look at and hopefully be inspired. So the living room and Maurice's studio as he left it with his slippers and his sweater on the chair. And his studio is set up as sort of a living library for Maurice, that he would surround himself with the artists that inspired him. And let's see, big Mickey Mouse fan. Lots of Mickeys, all had to be 1930 Mickeys, and it had to be Mickeys with pie eyes, or it wasn't allowed. So the fierce Mickey. Here's inside the archive with some of our fellows. Looking through things. Maurice had this, I was going to say habit, but that's not really a great way to describe it. He had this way of wanting to acquire things that the artists he loved, owned, and touched. So we have Blake, original William Blakes. We have Stubbs originals and engravings. We have like an array of really great art besides Maurice's art and other art contemporaries of his that have placed some of their artwork in our archive. It's originals to Higgledy Piggledy Pop with his beloved dog Jenny, and the photograph that Maurice took that he copied from. And we have in the night kitchen. And what's really great about coming and seeing Maurice's work there is that you get to see the process, because he did not throw away anything. And usually for each illustration there will be 3 or 4 preliminary drawings, which, you know, most people would think those were the actual what they printed the book from, but Maurice was such a meticulous artist that he would just keep drawing and drawing until he got it right. And I don't even know what that is. Oh, that's upside down. And if you look like this, those are the first editions in the archive. And this is Maurice with the fellows in our dining room, reviewing a book that Maurice was working on. He was a lot of the reason for starting the residency was also so that he could talk to young artists and be able to be inspired by them. So it's and this is our. Oh, so we used to own this building next to Maurice's house that was really kind of ramshackle. So when we would invite the fellows to come, this was Rowboat Watkins' bedroom and studio. He had said, "I've never had a studio." He always worked at his kitchen table, and the first thing he asked is, "Can I draw on the walls?" And we were like, "Yeah, go for it." So he did. He drew all over the walls. And it was really great, because it was his own little art installation there. And it was funny, in this place that we used to call the Nut House, because it was poorly constructed, and it had like a flat roof, which you don't build in New England because snow, and acorns and would fall off of the tree above it and roll down the ceiling, and it had no insulation, so you'd hear, it sounded like bowling balls on the ceiling. I don't know how they got any sleep, but this is more of Robert's room. Rowboat, actually, and here are last year's fellows out in the garden, and they are hanging out in the porch, like TV room. If anybody does come to our residence, they have to understand that we have dogs, and they're very friendly dogs, but we do have a lot of dogs in the house, and some more. They're poring over some books in the porch. And this is actually the room, I don't know, because it's in Maurice's house, it still feels like Maurice is there. All his possessions are there, and the way he constructed, the way the rooms are set up. But it feels like you're just at home with him, and it's a very lovely feeling. And these are the studios that we built for the artists. And we tried to make it so they'll fit into the landscape. This was before we had gardens put in around all of them. But, and they've only been, this is the second year? Yeah, second year with the studios. And that, again, you have to be able to walk upside down to get into that one. Here's Rob Dunleavy at his studio. And they're really quite comfortable. You're in the country, so it's really quite quiet, and you have as much time to do anything you want in there. We don't have people come with an idea of what they want to do. They can do anything or nothing, and they all do something. I mean, they all, as they're going through the archive, they get inspired. There's Gracie, and it's great because you have this. There's a little bunch of fellows reunion, and it's really fun because you have this. This whole feeling of sort of like it's kind of like a camp atmosphere, and you start that you build a little community, and it's always been amazing to me that they all stay in touch with each other, and they ask each other questions and turn to each other, and it's really a lovely experience. And this year's fellows, which we're very happy about, and we're looking forward to them arriving in May. And they come for May into the mid-June, and we celebrate Maurice's birthday on June 10th together, and we're back in the garden. And this is just some shots of the outside of the property. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
Oh, you want the clicker? I want. Okay, yeah.
So now Sophie.
Oh, there you go.
Sophie will speak about Milkwood.
Hello. Let's see if we have slides. Almost. So I will begin. Hello, everyone. And
Hello.
I love seeing. Oh, you know what I love seeing was Rowboat's Nut House, which I've never seen those pictures.
Yeah.
So we have a residency called Milkwood. It is in upstate New York. It's about 3 hours northwest of Manhattan. And the idea for it came about because I share a studio in Brooklyn with 5 other children's bookmakers. And we've been together in one form or another for about 15 years. Some of those people are in this room. There's Brian Floker, Dasha Tolstakova, Johnny Marciano. That's me, that's Doug Salati, and Rowboat Watkins, whose feet you just saw on the walls at the Sendak Fellowship. Sergio Ruzzier was amongst us. He has defected and moved to Italy, for which we will never forgive him. But in our shared studio in Brooklyn, we realized that we had this rare experience of working alongside one another, of having conversations about the work and about the industry, and everything that we were doing. We became a community, we became a family, and people would visit us to dip into this. And I realized that there was a need especially for authors and illustrators who often work in isolation, to have this kind of community. And so I started looking for a place to do it and found this dilapidated dairy barn in upstate New York. This is what it looked like. I just like the little pause of, oh, oh, and then the transformation is what it looks like now. It was no trouble at all, just a little bit of sweeping. I think I might have another one, yes. This is where many contractors came and just walked away, and my father said, do not do this thing. But my husband Ed and I, we were very good with a broom and some paint, and it took about 5 years to do it up. And the 5 years was the pandemic, and during that time we realized that more than ever, people needed each other's company. We were so remote and so isolated. Here is Ed saying, what the hell have we done? But the whole time we were working on it, we told each other that one day people would come and be in this space. And since we opened it, this is our fifth year. This is our 5th year. We have had several hundred people come from about 33 countries around the world. About 100 people come a summer, 10 people at a time. We try to grow as much of the vegetables as we can in the garden. We make all the food. We have a staff. And the goal is to sit around a table and talk. And then to go away and walk and read and draw and write and do those things. But to come back together several times a day, to be around this table, to have the kinds of conversations that we were not having in our industry. At least that's how we felt. There were short conversations at conferences and festivals or online, but to have the kind of conversation that begins one day and ends maybe, 10 years or never, because these groups of 10, just like Lynn was saying, have formed these little communities, and 3 years later or 4 years later, they are making books together, and they are sending those books to Milkwood that began as seeds of ideas when they were in the space. And they are each other's community no matter where they live. They have online critique groups and drawing sessions, and they meet for field trips at conferences and festivals and museums. That is your group. That is Isabelle is there. In fact, everybody on this stage has been to Milkwood, which is a very lovely thing. There's Oliver Jeffers. There's Oge Mora. There's Brian Selznick. This was a group. It was a graphic novel group. We sit around a fire pit at night. It also feels a little bit like summer camp. And I think that might be the last slide. Yes, thank you. On to Isabelle.
Isabelle.
Wow, a lot of pressure. a lot of pressure after those amazing organizations like and masters. Like I feel my project is very tiny. It just opened not even a year ago, in July 2025. So our project is named Leporello. You know, us illustrators, we know this familiar word. It's an accordion book, kind of. But to the public in general, it's little known. So is the profession of illustration. So one of our goals is to put some light on this profession and make it a bit more known to the general public through activities and workshops and our residency. So, okay, wait, you just have to. Okay, so this is just a little drawing I did of our building. It was purchased during the pandemic, just like on a crazy move, I guess. And then we started the renovations as well, but I'll spare you that very long. But well, it was short in a time. It was just over a year. We did a big renovation, but now, we're not finished yet. This is what it looked like before. So it's a building in the center of a village in Quebec, not in France. So Quebec is a part of Canada that speaks French. That's why I have a little bit of accent. And so it's in the middle of a village, an hour and 15 minutes outside of Montreal. So it's very nearby. It's like a country place. It's the same city as, a famous artist, Louise Penny. I don't know if you know her work. Well, she lives in the village too. So, so this is the building, and it's next to a big lake. It's beautiful out there. There's a lot of like trees and paths. Woo! Whoa! Okay, wait. Okay, let's start over. Okay. Here, it's the lake getting frozen in the fall, and totally frozen right now during the winter. And there's also fishing on the lake during winter. It's beautiful. We can walk there, and it's amazing. So there used to be a general store in this building from the time it was built in 1881. And we kept this kind of feeling, and we opened a shop in this space in the building. So we sell books, illustrated books, and all sorts of inspiring books that I love. And so it's a curated place where we also sell stationery, like paper goods, limited series, and also, series that are produced by our artists in residence. So you'll see later that we have a studio for them in the back. So this is like the general store part of the project. In the back, you see there's big windows and lots of light. It's the gallery part where we give workshops with the illustrators we invite. And so to us, it's to develop the community within the village and the region of the Eastern Townships. And it's really important to share our passion with the general public. So just to make illustration more known and useful, because like we do readings with kids, and it's good for them. It's good just for the community to share a moment around the books. And so we invite illustrators to present their work, to read and do workshops after, and also professional talks. Like this one was about creating your own watercolor out of pigments, something we experiment at your place. I must say, I started this residency after I visited Milkwood. I was very impressed by your project and inspired as well. And shortly after I visited Milkwood, I went to another residency in the USA on Peaks Island, which was so different, but also inspiring. So shortly after that, my husband and I decided to open this residency. But yeah, and I'll skip that. So this is the gallery part is where we also showcase like a very curated selection of posters by the artists we admire around the world. And like all the people that come in, they ask, are they local artists? Well, I say no. Those are my favorite artists. So, some of them. and we will continue to add up to this collection. It's just like a lively gallery space that we want to keep updated. And so those posters are also limited series and are for sale. So it's a nice place to just show a little bit more about contemporary illustration. So also we host like markets, and like this was for Christmas with artists. And this is the studio part where we have letter presses, and we can print like paper goods, stationery with those presses, and do die cuts and all sorts of paper goods that we can then sell in the shop or just showcase in the gallery, or just like we offer those equipments to the artists in residency. And yeah, so they have free access to this workshop. There's also a risograph there, and a little ceramic corner that, that is not finished, but it's currently being finished right now as we talk. So those are some paper goods produced in the shop, in the studio, and I brought some here in Bologna. Like those were printed for our opening last night. And yeah, we produce also like notebooks with our logo. And yeah, it's sort of, this is the first collection for Leporello, but eventually we want like to have a collection of goods personalized by illustrators we receive. So we want like to focus on a very nice curated selection of goods by all artists. Like Sophie could come to my residency and do a design and make some goods there, and you know, we would be able to showcase it. And so that's and that's the residency part where the residents live now. Because last summer it was not ready, and they had to stay in the village at some place. And now, so they live in the building, in this apartment, with lots of books and inspirations. And this is our illustrator in residency right now. He's there to explore 3D creation. He wants to transfer his illustration into 3D constructions with cardboard, and so he's working right there at our studio right now. And this is like the end of the presentation.
Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you so much. It's so inspiring, and I have two big questions, so let's jump into those. First of all, this, you know, the title is Artist Residencies for Illustrators. So could you speak, I think especially Sophie and Isabelle, what is the importance for illustrators of these kinds of residencies?
Well, I think it's, like, as I said, the goal is to, like, we spend most of the time isolated in our studios, and one of the goals was to just keep in touch with, like, our public, like, do readings and meet people and talk to people. Like for me, especially, like I've been doing this for 25 years now, and at some point during the pandemic, it was too isolation for me, and I needed to get outside and meet people. And this is a place for, you know, sharing and communicating our passion. So this is one of the aspects. I think it's important in a residency, just to meet people and get outside of your bubble and be inspired, and so also be uninterrupted on your work, just to spend some time by yourself or with people, but in a new sort of bubble elsewhere. So it changes from the routine, and it's very inspiring for us creators.
We have 3 models at Milkwood. We have the workshop model, which is 4 days. We have faculty. It's very structured. We have a retreat model, which is, I think, what all of you came for, which is peers getting together to really talk shop and be in the same space together and read and walk and think. And then we have a residency model, which is 1 week long, and people bring their own projects to work on. We have both writers and illustrators, also educators and publishing people. But for the illustrators especially, I think it is a couple of things. We have a wonderful library with about 5,000 picture books from around the world, and it's such a wonderful resource for illustrators to come and just spend time there looking at hundreds of books. How are they made? How are they constructed? How are they different from different eras in the last decades or older? What's changed? What can be possible within the pages of a picture book? And then to see what each other is working on is a magical thing when you see the different tools somebody brings or how they are using the page in totally different ways to the way that you might be. And then we have the picture book illustration workshop, which is taught by Doug Salati and Cecilia Ruiz. And that is the most magical thing, where so many illustrators come who tell us they were feeling stuck, or they were in a rut, or they've been working digitally and they want to remember how to use analog materials. And Doug and Cecilia, within the first 45 minutes, they make a painting a minute, and at the end of this, there are 10 artists. There are nearly 500 drawings on the floor. Everybody cries, and it's the most wonderful thing. And then they feel like they can do anything after that.
Yes, I love this. My next question, actually, for Lynn too. I'm an editor, so I was at Milkwood as an editor, and at the very first day, Sophie gave a talk that stayed with me and that I mention all the time. And it actually, when she first got to, as you tell it, when she first looked at that space with Ed, who's here, her husband, and dreamed the dream of Milkwood, Ed maybe didn't quite see it the way she did, but Ed said these incredible words, "Tell me what you see," which has stayed with me, and I use that often for people where you can support the vision of someone. And I think with the Sendak Foundation, people need to realize how much this has been Lynn's vision, the way that it has developed since Maurice passed. Just an incredible, organic, but purposeful vision in coming into being. So could you speak a little bit to that question of tell me what you see? How do you start? How do you find the courage to bring what you see into life, into being?
Well, I'd like to say it was all my vision, but Maurice had actually, before he had passed, had said, "Oh, I want my house to be open as a museum for artists to come in and scholars to study his work." And we're not zoned to be a museum. We're on a very little country road in a little town in Connecticut. And so building the archive actually sort of made it solidify the idea that we could have people come here. And it's a little different than a lot of residencies because you are in Maurice's house. And that creates a wonderful opportunity, but also wonderful problems. Like, how do you keep things from being wrecked? Or, how do you make them accessible to people? So the experience is more of it feels like you're an intimate invitation into an artist's home. And we feel that we also, we've actually started to steal a lot of your ideas because we know that it shouldn't just be come here and draw or do whatever you want, but learn the business of being an artist in picture book making. And so eventually now that we're building a house on the property for them, we'll be able to invite editors in and people in the industry to sort of help them navigate through the process of creating picture books. So it's been a process, and every year the fellowship changes because we learn more each year, and we learn what's possible and what didn't work, and so we're trying to figure it out still, actually, even after since 2010. So it's a process. So yeah.
So tell us how you found the courage to bring your vision to life.
Yeah,
What was the beginning like? How
I
do you
guess
take
it's
those
not
first
courage. It was a little bit craziness, as I said. It's just like an impulse that I had, like I do sometimes when I read a manuscript. Just being able to visualize it totally at first glance. When we started this project, I had this vision with my husband. We had the same vision, actually. And my husband is a publisher. He's the publisher of Jane the Fox and Me, some of my books in French in Quebec. And so we've worked together for a long time. And so we traveled a lot together. Also, we were inspired by other projects all around the world. And so we wanted to have this thing that didn't exist in Quebec somewhere for us, but for everybody. So that's the courage. I mean, it started from something we needed, I think.
I think exactly what you said, this to have a vision and then to put one foot in front of another very slowly. I'm looking at Pete Cowden, who is in the audience, who has, and Deb Pettit next to him. Together they run The Rabbit Hole in Kansas City. I don't know if any of you know about this, if you've heard of it, if you have been there. It is an extraordinary interactive children's book museum that celebrates the books, but it celebrates reading, and children and anyone can go to this museum and immerse yourselves in a book. But I remember we were starting out at the same time. We were doing Milkwood, and Deb and Pete were doing The Rabbit Hole. And the scale of those things could not be more different. Ours is in this little barn in upstate New York, and theirs takes up an entire city block in Kansas City. And the scale of it is, it's like this room that we're in. It's cavernous. It's incredible. And I kept thinking, how are they going to do this? And at the same time, people came in and said, how are we going to transform that barn, and how is anyone ever going to come? So I think it is the combination of the big vision and then putting one tiny foot in front of another. And I don't know if you would think this, any of you, if you knew how big it would be, how much it would take, how it would nearly kill you, you may not do it. But if you just see the tiny little bit ahead of you, you can take each step one at a time.
Just as far as your headlights can see. It's like driving at night. This could be very brief. People are probably curious. I'm curious. The money side. How do you, and you can speak as broadly or specifically as possible, how does that factor in? Is that the hardest part, or do you just blithely charge ahead and find it where you can?
Well, for us, it's an issue because we are a nonprofit organization. And we were hoping or expecting to have some funding somehow, but since we just started, we're not eligible for funding yet, but eventually we will. So we just provided our own funding, let's say, and it was a bit of a challenge, and it's not over. We're still in this, but we aim for cost-effective business. Eventually, we want to create this ecosystem where the shop can help fund the project a little bit, and eventually, I think just in less than a year, we've gained a lot of recognition already, and I'm really proud of it. And I think it will just help eventually our funding situation.
Oh, money. Yes, ours is a great big labor of love. Unlike other residencies, people pay to come to Milkwood. So the registration process is very simple. We open registration in January. People apply. We have had many more people apply than there are spots. So we have an advisory committee who helps select people, submit a website. It's very easy. Then once the applicants have been selected, there is a tuition fee to come to Milkwood. So we're not a non-profit. We try and make it as accessible as possible. There's some financial aid. But yes, it comes out of the books that I make, basically. That is, my book work supports Milkwood. That's how we try to make it work.
It must be very complicated for the Sendak Foundation.
Yeah, actually, we are a nonprofit as well, and all of our royalties go to the nonprofit, which then funds the fellowship. Our fellowship is a residency that you can't apply to, that you are chosen, you're nominated, you have you're supposed to not know, because Maurice always felt it should feel like a prize. So somebody will nominate you to become a fellow, either a teacher or an editor or art director or somebody. And then we have like a pool of nominators. Doug Salati, who is a former fellow, now runs the fellowship. He's here somewhere, and it's sort of is growing into a different sort of beast at this moment. But it's just sort of. So we also do give a stipend to the artists, so they don't have to pay, and it creates sort of that you have this feeling of that you've received a prize, and that what you do is worthwhile, and you deserve to be somewhere and taken care of, at least for a month.
That's amazing.
And I just wanted to say ours is free too. And we have 3 artists here today that were in residency last summer. And we found funding to bring them here into Bologna for their opening last night. Yeah, the exhibit is still going on until Friday. You can go at L'Artiere, Bookshop, Inuit, around this area. 44... 22. I forgot. Sorry, I forgot the address.
Wow.
But yeah, so happy to and proud of them.
Incredible. Okay. Well, we actually have 10 minutes, and I feel this is a panel where questions from the audience are very much welcome and added. So if anyone has a question, yes. Here, I could even.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Kay Healy, and I'm an author and illustrator of a graphic novel series, and my husband is also a graphic novel, children's book author, illustrator. Since we became parents, we found it kind of difficult to find residencies that will let us come as a family. This is actually the first time I've come to a conference without my family. He's watching them right now back in Philly. And I was wondering if either of your programs or any of your programs accept families or have...
We do.
Oh, fantastic.
Marine Schneider, actually, you know maybe Marine Schneider? She's from Belgium. She's coming with her little son and husband this summer in August in Montreal, in Knowlton.
Wow.
And we haven't figured out how to navigate that yet, of having children going through Maurice's home. But at some point maybe there'll be some sort of events that we can do outreach to not to bring your own children, but we're planning on doing outreach to libraries and elementary schools so that children can have the experience of being exposed to Maurice's art and not have to worry about things happening that shouldn't happen.
And we also don't have children come to Milkwood, but we have probably, I would say, 95% women, and many of those women are caretakers, as often happens, and they come to Milkwood and say some version of, this is the first time I have had time to myself. This is the first time I've been able to think a thought through from its inception to its completion, and to be taken care of is such a gift to be able to work on my own work. So that's sort of what we focus on. Not that we don't like children, we kind of like them, but...
That's great. Okay. Any more? Oh, Aria.
I'm just wondering, if you had one main piece of advice for anybody else who is thinking about doing this crazy thing, what would it be?
I mean, I think the best, and I'm going to say this because now we've done that, and I'm going to think it's the best. You start very small, and you just let it build, and then, don't have such grand, we were so worried about Sophie. Every time we looked on Instagram, we're like, oh my God, we should go help her. What's going on? But it is, I gotta say, I'm sure your place is amazing as well, but it's an amazing place. It really is. So, yeah, I mean, but she has done such a wonderful job. I mean, I had it very easy because it was just there. You know, there wasn't a lot to do, but just make sure people could get to it. So.
And I think accepting help. I mean, you make it sound like I did it all on my own, which I'll sort of take, but it's in truth, it was a whole, you know, a whole village, and it was hard to accept help. You know, we had lovely people wanting to volunteer, and I kept saying, no, we can do it all ourselves. But people who want to help and want to be part of it, and to give them things to do.
Yeah, well, I would say the same. Like, to be well surrounded really helps, and I'm still in the middle of this confusion, like building something. I don't think I have like advices yet, but it's just I would just encourage you to go to follow your dream. Sounds cliche.
Stephen.
The question I've got, I moderated a panel yesterday with a remarkable group of Berlin illustrators. And they have an organization of about 100 artists. And one of the things we talked about is how can you each have built a group of, or a community within your own residency, and there is some overlap. Any thoughts on how communities of creatives can communicate with other communities of creatives?
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it? That is a good
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it feels like each one of them is its own, in a way, ecosystem.
Yeah.
And they would benefit so tremendously from either sharing best practices or visiting each other or having a special meeting here every year in Bologna where the creative...
Okay, Stephen, put it together.
Yeah.
Talk to Elena.
Actually, because we had to learn how to operate as a foundation, we did get tremendous help from other foundations, artist-run foundations that, were calling up and saying, yes, this is what you should do and you shouldn't do. So that is a really wonderful idea, like having sort of a...
But I feel like it's exactly what we're doing here.
That's why we're here, yes.
Yes, well, and especially for my little organization, we're here in Bologna, invited by another incredible studio, Inuit, called Inuit in Bologna, who is this studio is printing risograph art by many illustrators, like well-known Matteo Berton, a lot of illustrators around the world. So we are connecting with other organizations that have the same purpose and same goals, and eventually maybe they will come and they will be invited in Quebec, and so it's great to just exchange this way with other residencies.
Yes, likewise. And I think what Lynn said about it's just a big old learning curve, and we're putting one foot in front of another and learning every year what we might do differently. And I will say, I mean, you were so supportive to us when we started out. We have a sort of a loan of Maurice Sendak's old flat files that they didn't have space for in their storage, so they are at Milkwood, and people come and lose their minds when they open the drawer and it says wild things on the side. So there's been lovely kind of conversations back and forth, and Stephen, I think that's a great idea to open that up internationally. Same time next year, we'll make that happen.
And we should acknowledge this panel is organized by Hamelin, an incredible kind of umbrella organization here in Bologna, very much in the spirit of what you all are doing. So let's all talk about how we can keep this moving forward. We have time for a few more questions. Okay, I had one more in reserve. And could you speak a little bit about, I love this idea of moving across borders and across communities, but also for each of your places, the sense of place, I think, for a residency is really surprisingly important. And you've touched on it a little bit, but could you talk a little bit more about how the residency really benefits from developing that sense of place and honoring it?
Well, we're very lucky because we do have all of Maurice's artwork, and we have. I turned my phone on.
You're on. You're on.
Am I on? I am. We benefit from the fact that he didn't throw away anything, and in fact, we have childhood drawings, and I think the fellows who come in are just like amazed that he wasn't always good, you know, and what it really is just work, constantly working and hard work and continuing and not giving up and knowing that you're doing something that is so important, especially in the times we live in now, to be able to communicate with children and have them feel a safe place through a book is just the most of everything that you want to get out of it. So we really just, you know, we're inspired by the people who come and visit us, and we learn so much from them. So it's a give and take thing that we really benefit from them arriving and showing us what they're doing. So.
We are in a very rural place. It's dairy country. There's really nothing else around. You can't see much from the farm. But even in the 5 years that we've been running, with the hundreds of people who have come, they all leave their mark. And either we invite everybody to bring a book to leave in the library, then people send us the books that they have made, and they join the collection. And so people are leaving their mark. The other thing that we do is invite everybody to draw a horse in a book. And those books are one of the first things that new people coming to Milkwood look at, and they look through and see who else has been, and they see Isabelle Arsenault's horse, and then they melt in a little puddle of, you know, joy and despair, because for all the obvious reasons.
Like I did when I opened the book.
But it is this lovely thing that builds and builds and builds and is creating this history, much like your posters on the wall at Leporello.
Thank you. Your place is amazing, but ours is very different. We're not competing, I guess. Our place is outside of the city, but still in the middle of the action. It's in the middle of a village, very cute village, and it's everything's accessible by just going to the restaurant, the cafe, the lake. There are paths all around in the village, and like trails. You can go walking or jogging for a while around the lake. So it's beautiful setup, and still not too isolated, because I feel like sometimes you can get isolated in the too far away countryside, but still very. So it's both of these two worlds that I really enjoy, and yeah, it's accessible also for the community around to just hang around and see the work. It's the idea of visibility that's really important in our project, and so that's the idea, to get the artists in contact with the people, their public.
Well, we have to end on that amazing note. One more. Oh, Deb, wait, hold on. Debbie has a question from the rabbit hole. Hold on.
Maybe just really quickly, each of you have family involved with your projects. And can you just mention really quickly maybe the pros or cons of creating these spaces with your family?
Amazing question.
I will just say that I could not do this without Ed. I mean, my husband yes, Ed! And he never meant to become involved. He got roped into it, and I don't know what I was thinking that I could possibly have done it on my own, because I couldn't. But it is a lovely thing. We work together, and we've found that we work well together. Is that the case?
Yes, it's the case. Fred is here, but at his booth, I guess. I couldn't have made it without him, for sure. He's completing me perfectly, like all the parts that I don't want to take care of. are on his side, and like the creative vision is on me, so I'm free to explore and go wherever I want on that aspect. And also, yeah, the tricky part is that we tend to always talk about business, like all the time. Sometimes we have to just remind us, like, okay, let's talk about something else, because it's all over the place, like from morning to all around the clock, you know, just Leporello.
Well, my family is a board of directors who all knew Maurice, and our very, very small staff of 6 people. And it's really is a combined effort. Everybody has something to put in, and then we have Doug Salati, who actually makes it happen. And so the thing is always just to like take all the advice you can and just pretend that you didn't hear some of it, and then some of it you'd actually take on. So yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so now we will have to say goodbye to this amazing group of creators.
Thank you, Maria.